There is a moment in every man's life where he feels it, that brief, clear sensation of being completely himself. Not performing, not managing, not adjusting, just fully, unmistakably present in his own power. For most men, that moment comes rarely, lasts briefly, and disappears before it can be understood. But what if that state was not a lucky accident? What if it was a biological condition? One that you could cultivate deliberately, systematically, and permanently by understanding one fundamental truth about masculine energy. Power is not given. Power is not taken. Power is generated inside the body through a biological process so efficient and so ancient that it has been producing masculine presence since long before human beings had language to describe it. And power, like all generated resources, can either be accumulated or dispersed. The men who are quietly magnetic have discovered, through discipline or intuition or tradition, the art of accumulation. The men who feel invisible have discovered only dispersal. The first body level change that occurs when you begin holding your power is in your hormonal ratio. The testosterone to cortisol ratio is one of the most studied biomarkers in performance psychology. Elite athletes, top executives, military commanders, and high-status males across studies consistently show favorable testosterone to cortisol ratios, higher testosterone relative to stress hormone. Retention shifts this ratio by simultaneously increasing testosterone activity and decreasing the cortisol burden of the depletion cycle. The math is straightforward, the results are not subtle. When your testosterone to cortisol ratio improves, your threat response system recalibrates. You stop reading neutral social situations as mildly threatening. You stop interpreting ambiguous communication as criticism. You stop bracing internally in environments where bracing is not required. This recalibration is invisible to the conscious mind, but immediately legible to the people around you. Relaxed confidence reads differently from tense confidence, and the nervous systems of everyone in your vicinity can tell the difference. The second body level change is in your neural pathway engagement. The prefrontal cortex, your executive brain, your long game brain, the part of you that can see past immediate impulse to lasting consequence, becomes more active as your dopamine system stabilizes. The depletion habit is driven by the limbic system, the ancient, fast, impulsive brain that demands now and cannot compute later. As retention extends, the balance of power between these two systems shifts. The prefrontal cortex gains authority, the limbic system loses urgency. This shift is the neurological foundation of masculine presence. A man who is fully in his prefrontal cortex is a man who is fully present. He is not rehearsing or regretting. He is here, in this moment, with complete attention and no internal interference. This quality of presence, genuine, full, unhurried presence, is experienced by the people around him as a kind of gravity. They want to be near him. They lean toward him in conversation. They remember him long after he has left the room. The third body level change is in your circadian architecture. Testosterone secretion follows a circadian rhythm, with peak production occurring during deep sleep. When your system is caught in the disruption cycle of dopamine highs and crashes, sleep architecture suffers. REM cycles shorten. Slow-wave sleep, during which testosterone and growth hormone peak, is truncated. You wake not fully restored. You carry the biological debt of interrupted sleep into every day, compounding it with the next cycle's disruption. Retention stabilizes sleep. Stabilized sleep optimizes hormonal production. The compound interest works in your favor. A man who sleeps deeply wakes differently from a man who doesn't. His eyes are clearer in the morning. His first thoughts are sharper. He moves with less resistance. He makes better decisions earlier in the day. He is less reactive in the afternoon when stress peaks. He is more present in the evening when relationships are built and sustained. Deep sleep is not a luxury. It is the biological recharge cycle of masculine function, and it is directly compromised by the habit that retention displaces. Holding your power changes your relationship with silence. Most men are uncomfortable with silence because silence, in a depleted state, amplifies the internal noise, the anxiety, the low-grade dissatisfaction, the unmet needs of a dysregulated nervous system. As retention extends and the nervous system regulates, silence becomes comfortable. Not empty comfortable, full comfortable. The silence of a man who has something and is not compelled to prove it. That silence in social settings is more powerful than most sentences. Watch what happens in a group setting when a man simply doesn't speak until he has something worth saying, when his silence is clearly comfortable rather than anxious, when he listens completely before responding, when his words arrive with the unhurried certainty of a man who is not seeking approval. The group organizes around him without anyone deciding to make it happen. Leadership is not taken, it is generated by the man whose internal state is the most coherent in the room. The way you hold your face changes. The micromuscular tension in the jaw, around the eyes, and in the forehead is directly influenced by cortisol and autonomic nervous system state. A chronically stressed face and depletion creates chronic low-grade stress, carries tension in places that make it appear either aggressive or anxious, neither of which is attractive or commanding. As cortisol normalizes and vagal tone increases, the face relaxes into its natural structure. The eyes soften without losing intensity, the jaw unclenches, the brow smooths. There is a look that certain men carry, not a practiced expression but a natural quality of the face at rest, that communicates complete self-possession. It is neither blank nor performing. It is simply at home. That look is the resting face of a man whose cortisol is low, whose testosterone is high, whose nervous system is regulated, and whose internal world is quiet enough that his face does not need to manage any of it. You have seen that look, you have admired it, you can have it. Holding your power changes your appetite, not just for food, but for experience. The hyperactivated dopamine system of a depleted man craves constant stimulation, scrolling, noise, distraction, sensation, anything to fill the gap that the depletion cycle creates and never fully resolves. As the system recalibrates, the appetite for cheap stimulation decreases. A walk in the morning becomes genuinely satisfying. A conversation becomes interesting without needing to be entertaining. Work becomes engaging rather than escapable. Life starts tasting like itself again. This shift in appetite is perhaps the most quietly profound change that retention produces. It is the shift from a man who consumes the world to a man who creates within it. Consumers need constant input. Creators generate from internal resource. And the capacity for creation, in whatever domain, is directly linked to the fullness of the internal resource from which it draws. You cannot build from empty. You build from abundance. Retention is how you accumulate that abundance. The challenge that most men face is not information. You now have the information. The challenge is the 18-second window between the impulse and the decision. 18 seconds is approximately how long a strong craving lasts at its peak before beginning to subside, according to neurological research on impulse duration. 18 seconds of deliberate, conscious resistance. That is the entire battlefield. 18 seconds, repeated across days and weeks, is what separates the man who holds his power from the man who keeps wondering why nothing changes. Build a practice for those 18 seconds. Not willpower, practice. Know in advance what you will do in that window. Breathe, move, redirect. Have the replacement behavior ready before the impulse arrives, because in the impulse moment, your prefrontal cortex is partially offline and your limbic system is fully online. You are not fighting impulse with willpower. You are fighting it with pre-commitment. The man who planned yesterday's self beats the man who decides today's. The transformation is not linear. There will be days when you feel it completely. The clarity, the power, the magnetic charge of your own presence. And days when it seems distant. This is not failure. This is biology moving through a recalibration that is not a straight line. The direction is what matters. The general trajectory over weeks and months is unmistakable. Trust the biology. It is more patient than you are and more reliable. Men who hold their power consistently describe a particular relationship with the future. Where previously the future felt vague and slightly threatening, something to be managed rather than built, it begins to feel like territory, something to move into with forward momentum rather than manage with defensive planning. This shift in orientation is not psychological coaching. It is the behavioral output of a brain operating with a healthy testosterone to cortisol ratio and a stabilized dopamine system. The biology changes the orientation changes the trajectory. Your power was never gone. It was being spent in a direction that gave nothing back. Every act of preservation is a reallocation, the same resource directed toward building instead of draining, toward creating instead of consuming, toward the future instead of the momentary relief of the present. The reallocation begins the moment you decide it begins. The compound interest on that decision shows up in every room you enter from this day forward. You carry within you the capacity to be the man that people remember, the one whose presence changes the air, the one whose silence commands more than most people's speeches, the one who walks into a room and shifts something without saying a word. That capacity is not mythology, it is biology. It is your biology. And it has been waiting, patiently, for you to hold it long enough to feel what it becomes. If these words reached a part of you that has been waiting to hear them, if something in you said yes while you watched, please like this video. Share it with the men who are ready. Subscribe to this channel for more of this kind of honest, grounded conversation about what it truly means to become your full self. And if this moved you genuinely, please hit the thanks button. You are not alone in this work. And the best version of you is not a fantasy. It is your biology, finally given the space it deserves.